How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today, part 3 of a 4-part series. We've covered the East, we've covered the West. Today, we are going to talk about the southern suburbs of Denver and everything you need to know, and we're starting right now. Alright, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Albertson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around the Denver Metro and Colorado Front Range, this is definitely the channel for you. So you're going to want to make sure you click on that subscribe button as I drop new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be informative here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado, team with some of the state's most talented realtors. And we're helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is the southern suburbs of Denver, the best, the worst, and where I'd actually live. So if you've watched any videos on Denver, perhaps some of mine, you might have heard that I-25, our major highway running north to south, really does split the city and the metropolitan area in half. You have your western suburbs, you have your eastern suburbs. And so when we talk about our suburbs to the north and south, some of the key dynamics there are still your access not just to the city, but your access to the mountains. And one thing I will point out from the start as we get into some of these suburbs is that your access to the mountains when you are in south of Denver is just a bit quicker, and there's more access points to the south. It's going to be one of the key components of this video. So the reason I bring that up is when we talk about Denver being split east and west, you don't have that dynamic quite as strongly when you get south of Denver because there are still these quick access points for you to get into the Rockies. As you go north, you'll see some of the same. You'll see that you don't necessarily have to be on the west side of I-25 to enjoy the Rocky Mountains, but from the south, it just gives you a lot more flexibility. And we'll talk about those roads as we go through this video. We begin geographically. I'm not ranking them in any sort of order, so we begin with Englewood, Colorado, the quintessential suburb of Denver, bordering the city to the south. So if you head down Broadway, out of Denver, you run right through the heart of Englewood and then South Broadway turning into downtown Englewood. So when you're thinking Englewood, think urban grit meets neighborhood charm. You've got 40s bungalows next to some mid-century apartments, next to, some brand new builds. I mean, you'll have homes that were just, finished being built yesterday. It is a transit jackpot. Englewood is in a great location because not only can you get into Denver in, let's face it, 5 to 10 minutes, you have quick access to the mountains through 285, one of our highways that lead directly into the Rockies. You can get down to the tech center in about 15 minutes. You can get up to Denver, obviously, as we mentioned quickly. You're just right in the thick of things. Englewood also happens to be the epicenter for medical and some really cool artist jobs there. So you have Swedish Medical Center, you have Craig Hospital, and you have this thriving small shop artist scene that's kind of always been part of Englewood's character, but has really been enhanced over the last several years. And then nightlife, I mentioned, a lot of times when you're living in some of these suburbs, if you want nightlife into the evening, you really have to get up closer to Denver. Not really the case in Englewood because you have South Broadway. There's a lot of restaurants, bars, nightclubs, just different things that not a lot of our suburbs have. So you have that benefit there. Now, cons of Englewood are going to be pretty straightforward. First is that you have an inconsistent streetscape. So you're going to have like a cute block, then you're going to have kind of a sketchy block, then maybe a cute block, rinse and repeat. I mean, you're going to see some hit or miss in Englewood. I think the closer you get to Denver, the more you see that, the more suburb you get, perhaps overall the more consistent. But do expect some up and down there. It's an older suburb. Some of it is going to be older and beat up. Some of it's going to be newer. A lot of it's going to be somewhere in between with charm all the way through. Along with that, you've got aging infrastructure. You've got narrow alleys. You've got ancient sewer lines. You've got limited parking. When you start doing your due diligence on crime, you're going to see that crime stats edge higher in burbs that are, farther south. You're going to see tight yards. You're going to see some big property tax bills for what you actually get in land. That's one thing to keep in mind with Englewood. But overall, one of the more popular suburbs, again, because of the opportunities as far as housing there and that location, it is tough to beat. Moving right along, we've got Greenwood Village, which is home to the Denver Tech Center. So big key there, Cherry Creek school districts. At the end of the day, when we're talking about schools, Cherry Creek School District consistently ranks among the best in Colorado. That's going to be a big item for people thinking about Greenwood Village. As I mentioned, you've got DTC right there in your backyard. So not just for some of the businesses that operate there, the flexibility to get there quickly, but DTC is also home to some of the best restaurants Denver has to offer. So not necessarily like a nightclubby evening vibe to you, but if you're into great steakhouses, really good restaurants, DTC filled with it, and it's a good visual. It's a pretty background along with the mountains there. Greenwood Village is also home to acres and acres of open space and trail connectors. You've got Cherry Creek State Park, you've got the Highline Canal, so a lot to do outdoors. And then you have luxury homes there, and several of them. So you have luxury lot sizes. We're talking about a half an acre not being rare in this community. So your price points will be higher, but you'll have some nice homes to choose from. Now, as far as cons, we got to talk about the median sale price is going to be north of $1.5 million. So you're going to have to bring some cash if you like this area as far as buying a home. Next, you've got a lot of HOAs and a lot of city design in this community. So, if you're buying a house there, you have to know what your HOA rules are. They're pretty strict. You're not going to be able to have a free-for-all with what you want to do for your house. Even some of those minimal changes you want to make will need to be reviewed. You can get into some bureaucracy problems there. And as I mentioned, great restaurants, but limited nightlife. It's really a town that's going to go quiet about 9 p.m. as the restaurants close. And then the last thing I would mention as far as a negative to Greenwood Village is there's not a lot of starter inventory. If you're a first-time home buyer, really thinking about getting that first pad, there might be some condos or townhomes, but with that price point being as high as it is, it's really tough to get in as a first-time home buyer. Next up, certainly one of the most popular suburbs in all of Denver and certainly south of Denver, and that is Centennial. I apologize in advance. Centennial is one of those communities where I have limited footage of. A reason being is there is a private airport in Centennial. It's kind of hard to fly a drone when you have a private airport around, not quite as hard as being around Colorado Springs and the Air Force Academy, but I digress. So when you talk about Centennial, you talk about like a Goldilocks effect when it comes to pricing. So it's cheaper than some of these nearby. It's cheaper than Greenwood Village, but yet it is nicer than Aurora. So you've got a nice fit there overall. It is a family-centered community. Lots of parks, lots of rec centers. It is one of Colorado's safest cities judged by the FBI data. So take that for what you will. The FBI considers it one of its safest cities. Centennial is also known for being business-friendly on taxes. There's lots of small business offices tucked into these tech parks. And then, again, you talk about access point, and this is something that will be pretty consistent on the south. You've got quick access to both I-25 and E-470. So when I talk about getting into the mountains, so with 285 in Englewood, you also have E470 or C470, which is a road that leads out of Centennial, out of Parker, heads west, gets you closer into the mountains, where again, you can either hit 285, you can ride it all the way up to I-70. So when I talk about that quick access from the southern suburbs as opposed to the northern suburbs, that's where you're getting it. Now, Centennial, if it has a knock, it doesn't really have an identity. It's a suburb. There's no downtown, there's no centralized location, it's just a suburb. Arapahoe Road, which is in the heart of Centennial, that is the test of traffic zen. There can be some really ugly traffic there, and I think that's just part of, I would say, your south, but your east, the eastern side of town, there's a lot of service roads, Arapahoe Road being one of the busier. When it comes to housing, you'll start to notice that a lot of the housing stock that is east of University, again, the roads at Centennial, tends to need some reno. You've got some older homes there, but certainly you're going to see that in various communities. And then, as I mentioned, kind of similar to Greenwood Village, nightlife, it's going to get pretty quiet. So again, not something you shouldn't expect in suburbs, but definitely 9, 10 o'clock, it's really quiet in Centennial. Next up, you've got the suburbs of suburbs of suburbs, and that is Highlands Ranch. That is the original, I don't say original, I mean Highlands Ranch was really built in the 90s, but it is the first master planned community of a Denver suburb. So when you talk about master plan efficiency, you talk about 4 rec centers, you talk about miles of trails, you talk about HOA maintained everything. You have top tier Douglas County schools there. You've got a STEM school, you've got IB, you've got the works. When it comes to education, again, this is a suburb that a lot of people put time and energy and certainly money into, that's been built over the last, 30 years. So all of those like family quirk, amenities that you need, odds are they're going to be there in Highlands Ranch. Typically, you're going to see low crime, you're going to see high community events, you're going to see concerts, you're going to see farmers markets, you're going to see fireworks shows or drones at this point. We can't light anything on fire, and I respect that. I don't say that negatively, but a lot of drones because how dry Denver is. Of course, if you're deciding not to move somewhere because we have drones instead of fireworks, it's an odd reason, but regardless, just a warm community, safe, the type that you want to get out and really enjoy yourself. Now, negatives, I said HOA in the beginning. It is HOA policed to the inch. They're really on top of it, long have been. That's how things are run there. So park a boat outside and expect a love letter about it. Some of the neighborhoods in Highlands Ranch will tend to look similar. Some really nice houses, but because it is HOA covered, everything's pretty consistent. Now, I think for the most part, people enjoy that, but if you're the type that doesn't like, I wouldn't necessarily say cookie cutter, but it can get along those lines. I would also mention, again, talking suburb of suburb, you're roughly 45 minutes in traffic from Denver. You're going to be very car dependent. There's not a lot of public transportation. You're not light railing anywhere. Uber is going to be pretty expensive going that distance, so you're on that. And then as far as price points, this is one of the most popular suburbs, for families, for couples, you name it, for people looking for a good suburb community. It's one of the most popular. So you're going to be looking at home prices upwards of $850,000, and that's for, a house with a smaller yard. So your price points can get pretty extensive. A couple smaller, though very popular communities to cover next. South of Highlands Ranch, you've got Lone Tree. That is straight down I-25. And again, you've got great mountain views. Lone Tree is home to Park Meadows Mall, so you've got this great mall, a ton of dining there, a lot of restaurants. It is also the newest light rail terminal. So along that I-25 stretch, you can still jump on the light rail, get up to Denver, have access to all of that, have access to DIA. So a very big news for Lone Tree there. Lone Tree tends to be big for upscale new build options, whether that's condos, whether that's townhomes, whether that is luxury single family homes. Lone Tree is a hub for that. And it is also home to Bluffs Regional Park, which I'm going to tell you right now, for sunsets, you get a hike out there up to Ridgegate. It's beautiful, very captivating, great area to be and check out. So a lot going for Lone Tree. As far as some of its cons, Lone Tree is home to a ton of construction. So you tend to get a lot of construction dust there. Like Ridgegate, for example, that expansion is not due to be done until nearly 2030 or past. So a lot of that going on. Now, take that, again, I say with a grain of salt, because that's part of that process. Is it going to derail a lot of your plans or the beauty of Lone Tree? No, but it is a thing. Lone Tree, very similar to Highlands Ranch, is going to be high on HOAs, high on Metro District tax, so be prepared for that mortgage payment to be a bit higher as you add on those additional items. Although I should say HOA is paid separately, but still to add on to that monthly cost. Another thing that I hear a lot of feedback on is the limited school capacity. That some neighborhoods, they're lotteried out. They just haven't caught up with the build there. So, that will come over time, but be aware that some lottery systems in these schools, they're running out of space. Your school selection might be a bit more limited than you expect. And then one of the consistent things I hear is that as far as resale, so at least currently, if you buy a house and then go to resale, you are constantly in competition against newer models, newer builds, newer construction, and competing against new construction right now and the things that they can do is tough to begin with. So just something to be aware of. One more relatively small one, but one of the most, luxurious communities in all of Denver, and that is Castle Pines. So talk about ponderosa draped ridge lines. This is like true Colorado aesthetic, as you would expect for a luxury neighborhood. Large custom homes, estate lots, a lot of privacy built in. You've got prestige golf clubs. You've got the Ridge. You've got Castle Pines Golf Club. You are minutes to backcountry trails mountain biking heaven. I mean, Castle Pines is really in an ideal location, really well thought out. If you've got big bucks, definitely a place to look at. And if you want me to visit the house and just hang out, maybe by the pool, you want to go golfing, I'm down for that as well. Just throwing that out there. Some cons, you have to have a little bit of money. Your price points there, easily in excess of $1 million, rarely lower. There's a few restaurants and shops, not a lot. Expect to drive down to Castle Rock, which is not too far south of you, for your Target runs. I-25, I hear that, there's some noise that goes through. Let's be real. Castle Pines is one of the most desired luxury neighborhoods in all of Denver. Cons we're going to choose are ones that people are really going to be picky about, so you get a little bit of noise. And then wildlife. You're kind of in nature, so you get some wildlife sightings. If that's not your thing, I don't know. It's my thing. I love it. Just don't try to pet the bears. That's all I would say. And last up on our list is Castle Rock, Colorado, which, we're bordering now in what is actually a suburb of Denver and what is just its own town, because Castle Rock is legitimately in traffic an hour from Denver. If there's no traffic, you can probably get from downtown Castle Rock to Denver in maybe 40 minutes. But again, if you're making that drive, you should expect some traffic in the tech center and then as you get into Denver. So we're going to say an hour for the sake of conversation. Besides, I need the commenters to have something to come at me with. So Castle Rock used to be just this little dot on a map between Denver and Colorado Springs. It's now a very healthy town, known for its outlets, big shopping areas. It's got a legit historic downtown. You've got boutique shops, you've got breweries, you've got festivals, an extremely popular area for that. And again, those outlets that have been around for decades. So a lot of people would get down there for that alone. On top of that, you tend to get a lot more house for your dollar. So, mid 700,000s will still buy you, at least today, a house that's around 3,000 square feet. It'll buy you a yard. It'll give you some amenities. So a lot of people who like a Centennial, a Greenwood Village, and a Highlands Ranch will look farther south. They'll take that extra 15, 20 minutes to head south into Castle Rock and find exactly what they want there. Castle Rock is also extremely outdoorsy. You've got Philip S. Miller Park, you've got a 200-step incline that's really cool to go visit, and you have more than 40 miles of trails throughout the town. So a lot of reasons to get outside and enjoy the amenities. It's also beautiful. You're there, it's Castle Rock. You've got mountains all around you, genuinely a very pretty location. And then a lot of economic news going in their favor, a lot of employer growth there. You've got Champ headquarters, you've got Centura, hospital campus, so a lot of good things happening there. Cons, as I mentioned, you're looking at roughly a 35 to 45 minute commute to Denver, and definitely longer if you have some traffic. We talk about the growth of Castle Rock, and it has been explosive. So you've had rapid growth that is crowding schools, it's crowding roads, it's crowding infrastructure, and that's one of those things that you're going to see again in some of these communities where people are just flocking to them and the communities are building. I would compare Commerce City east of Denver having similar things where just a lot of people are going there, and it takes a few years for that town to adjust and be able to handle that higher capacity. I've heard a lot of feedback in Castle Rock that there's still some water restrictions that tighten in the summer, and that tends to flow flow with water, but tends to flow within the Denver community. We've seen it in Lakewood at times, so something to be aware of. And then the light rail. When we talk about transportation, there are dreams of a light rail getting down to Castle Rock. Still hasn't happened. As I mentioned, it ends currently in Lone Tree. Still some talk getting it a little farther south. But Castle Rock, you are car dependent. I would also mention that being in Castle Rock, your primary transportation is I-25, so that north-south. You can get out of Castle Rock a couple different ways, but that's the primary. So traffic can get bottlenecked in that area. So, again, that suburb life. Castle Rock, the last thing I would mention is, even though I think I said the last thing I'd mention, is one of the most popular locations for my remote working folks that want to live south of Denver. They like the fact that they have just enough amenities for that area. They don't have to drive because they don't have to worry about remote, and they like the price points, whether that's buying a house or renting. So if you're a remote worker, Castle Rock might be an option you want to explore, among others. However, if there's another community you're interested in, or you have any questions, you want to just jam it out with me, feel free. Give me a shout, give me an email. My phone number, open to any texts, calls, you name it, any way I can be helpful, I'm here for you. In the meantime, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That was the southern suburbs of Denver, Colorado, the pros, the cons, and where I'd actually live. Until I see you next time, peace.